In my pocket a few times. Hey, how are you? Good. Cool. I guess you want to get going then? So we'll just make sure I stay in my marks for the camera. Hey, thanks guys for coming out here tonight. I was hoping we get like 40 of you in here, but this will work. It means you got all sorts of questions to ask. You can ask us questions. Just kind of give you a little update on what's going on in the city. We have Chief Hessing here and Chief Tominski, and we'll let them talk. And you guys seriously ask them questions about anything that you have concerns with or life safety stuff and whatnot out there. So just real quick, I did last week I did a little mini state of the city with the chamber and talked about a few things. And one of the things, the first thing I talked about is our new population number. We have a regional organization called Compass that determines our population based on permits and all that. But we're at 17,690 folks this year in the city of Star, which is an incredible number. 500 of those are out of Canyon County because we're a dual county city. You guys didn't know that, okay? In fact, we're right up to your neighborhood with the city. She lives on the others. I think you live on the west side of Kingsbury, right? Yeah, so they're in the Middleton area over there, in the city of Middleton. So with that 17,000, obviously it presents a few challenges that we have in our area. Obviously, you see the road work that's happening down here along 44. This project over here in front of Albertsons is something that the city has initiated and done, utilizing proportionate share money that we collected from every new house that was built from April 2020 until now. So that was an unfunded section of the state highway system. So we found a way to fund that through that proportionate share agreement. And that'll be a 5-lane segment. It'll be done in June, believe it or not, even though they ran into some delays with all the rain that we had. That'll be completed in June. And then this section here from Star Road to Highway 16 will be done. They'll do it next year. And there won't be any businesses removed down here. There's actually 5 lanes down there. So those of us that have been here for a long time, remember when it used to be laned out that way until they did a resurfacing out here. And now they made it 3 lanes with unusable parking on half of it. So might as well turn it back into 5 lanes. We're actually going to try to, after the project's done down there in June, have this restriped all the way down here to City Hall to get that 5 lanes back so we can start spreading cars out sooner on that. So that'll be a good thing. You guys want to talk about anything real quick, or just talk about crime, or because last time I took up all the time almost. So these guys, because she knows I like to talk. I could talk for hours, but we'll let these guys.
We really appreciate you coming out, and any questions tonight that I can talk about, maybe some concerns or issues you're having in the city, please ask. That gives me, I might not know the answer. My brains of the operation actually is behind you. That's you might help me out on a couple of questions if you do have. But we're really focused right now working with the Star Fire. We just so you know, countrywide, nationwide, we've had more mass shootings than we do in the days of the year. And so we've had over 140, and that was of a couple of days ago. And I know there was 2 yesterday. So we're really focused on how we're going to respond to something like that if it happens in Star. Again, being right next to the Star Fire, which was a great opportunity for us to get to know Star Fire and build that relationship real close with them. Matter of fact, just last week, me and my 2 sergeants out here met with 3 battalion chiefs from Star Fire and also the captain from there, and went over how we're going to respond to any type of mass shooting or school shooting that occurs, and how we're going to work together on making sure that we're saving as many lives as possible and stopping that threat if it happens. So we're very hyper focused on that. I've worked with Star Elementary just the last couple of weeks we don't have an SRO assigned to that school, but we do have an SRO at Star Middle School who goes over there and visits Star Elementary quite a bit. But I've worked both with, again, my patrol sergeants, the Star deputies out here, figuring out how we can work out of Star Elementary more often, even if we're writing reports rather than writing those out of Star Police Department. We're now going over there. We have an office. It's not a permanent office. We kind of move around throughout the week where they need us, just because Star Elementary is very full of using all their space. But we'll sit at any desk they give us and write reports out of there, and hopefully show more presence if something does go off at Star Elementary. But we're again hyper focused on trying to figure out exactly how to keep our citizens safe, how we can respond to those things. The Ada County Sheriff's Office has given us a lot of training. We've talked about doing another big training with Star Fire in the future. That might be once the school gets out during the summertime, that we actually do some type of live event training, that we go there and see how it's going to work together. That way it's not just tabletop scenario type stuff. But so far things are good in Star. We knock on wood. We're hoping it keeps that way. We were very surprised the amount of population wise, knocking on the door of that 18,000 population and trying to figure out exactly how we can better serve them and be out there in the community. So,
Chief.
Again, thanks for coming. This is a good opportunity for us to meet the folks in our community that we, in a different circumstance than an emergency. We hope, really, I think all three of us hope to get out of here tonight and in the future is, are we meeting your expectations? Do you have other things that you would like us to do for you, and how you would like to see us grow? And so we're trying to get community input on that. A little bit about the district. We are 165 square miles. We're 2 separate fire districts that have a joint powers agreement to operate as one. So we are Middleton Star Fire Districts, and we have 2 separate boards and 2 separate budgets, but we do operate as one fire department. We have 3 stations. Year to date, we've ran a little over 800 calls within 165 square miles. In the back of the room is Victor. He's the fire marshal. He does numerous plan reviews, not just in Star, but in Middleton, Canyon County, Ada County, the city of Eagle, and a piece of Gem County. So we have a lot of territory in that 165 square miles that we protect. And we hope to get a lot more people to show up so we can make sure that we're meeting everybody's expectations. Our future, we put in for a SAFERS grant, which is a grant for firefighters on the Middleton side, so we can staff another station on Harvey, and then we'll do that again for Star Fire District. That's this side probably next year. We're looking at, we have the plans and everything in the property for a fire station across from the Mormon Church on Floating Feather Road, directly across the street from it. So we hope to get that started sooner than later and keep our response times down. We try to respond. Our goal is to respond to everything within the cities in 5 minutes or less. So that's our goal.
Yeah, so just real quick on how we finance our police and our fire. So obviously our fire is a separate taxing district. So on your property taxes, you'll see Star Fire District on there, and that's how they are funded. And that's all they're funded with, right? For the police side, that's part of the city. And we fund 100% of our police utilizing all the property tax collections we have. So we only levy $1.7 million towards property taxes on a $3 billion residential value in our city. Very little, right? 100% of that plus goes into our police. And so what we've done in the last summer is I met with the BCA to talk to them and say, listen, I need help on how to finance and fund these 2 organizations in order to keep the level of service up. And they came up with a plan with me to do mitigation fees on new construction. So they pay almost $2,100, almost somewhere in there, $2,140, I think, in mitigation fees on every new house that's built. That helps to finance and fund new personnel for the Star Police and Star Fire. The difference with Chief Tominski is he can't just bring in 1 or 2 firefighters. He's got to do 9 to staff a station. So it's about what, 1.4 million, 5 million, 6 million, somewhere in there. 1.3 inflation, it'll go up, right? And then with us, with our police side, we look at trying to increase our staffing 1 or 2 at a time. And Chief Hessing here went out for a grant as well for us to get a motor unit, I think, right? A traffic unit, so we can have a deputy out here focusing solely on traffic in our town, and then the others can respond to all the calls. On the police side, we're we want to be a proactive police force, because the more proactive you are, the less other crimes you see. And we have a very good staff of officers on our police out here in Star. They do a great job of, I don't know if you have your numbers in there, but it's like 3 to 1. So we do almost 3 times as many proactive calls versus the number of calls that we're getting. And our crime rate is really low here in Star by doing that. So that's a good thing. Right? So we're always trying to find ways and solutions. With Star Fire this last year, we had that ARPA funds from the feds, and we utilized those funds to help buy a ladder truck, which we needed in our arsenal or equipment or whatever you want to call it, right? Which helps us for it's 110 foot ladder.
It's 107 foot.
107 foot. We put Victor on it. It's 110. Right, Victor? Right. So it's 107 foot. It has a water nozzle on the end. Allows us to fight fires that are going to be unique when we have the Greylock buildings. Now we have the Albertsons. We have the Ridley style buildings. We have those apartments coming up there on the highway there. So they're going to have an opportunity to be able to handle some of that a little bit better with the equipment that we have. On the police side, they used to be upstairs, and we utilize those ARPA funds. Greg gave us a great opportunity. There's a single level right to the left of the fire station is almost 7,000 square feet. Half of that got turned into a good police station. Our police were jammed into a little area upstairs, which wasn't very conducive for them to do their work and their operations. We actually have a detectives area, interview rooms, a nice report writing room that now is the envy of all the police around here because they like that report writing room over there, the way we got it set up. And so now we have a public safety building basically over there that everybody can attend to. And so we utilize the funds that the feds threw at us on things like that, right? Which I think is great for our community. What else?
Well, the ladder truck, we can go back to the ladder truck for a second. Part of the reason for needing that was to keep our ISO rating where it is. That in Star we're a 3. And when we did they re-rate us every 7 years. And when they rated us this last time, we had no 3-story buildings in Star. And so when the new rating comes up where they rate us again, we would have went to a 4 or maybe a 5 due to the fact that we had 3-story buildings. So we didn't have a ladder. We do get credit for our neighbors that have ladder trucks that come in, but we'll get 100% because we have our own ladder truck, which keeps the cost down for your homeowner's insurance.
Yeah, that's important, right? We want to keep our costs down here in our town. So that works. So we have on the police side, sorry guys, let me cough on the camera. Sorry. We have 2 detectives. We have an admin, Miss Jada. We have Sergeant DeBees back here. He's, I think you're the blue team now. Is that right? Blue team sergeant with 4 deputies with that. And we have a silver team sergeant with 4 deputies. And then like Chief mentioned, we do have our SRO. That's not part of our contract. West Data pays for that, I think, but he works in tandem with our folks out here. So we have a pretty good staff. Our goal is always we were trying to get to 1 to 1,000 on police. I think our response time's 4 minutes or less. Is that what we said? And with the proactive policing model. And I think where we at right now, on 0.85 or something, police per 1,000.
Yeah, I think right 0.81 right in there.
0.81. So we're looking at bringing on more police. It costs us about $150,000 to bring on a deputy. That doesn't include the car. The car is about $65,000 on itself. And usually you get 2 deputies on 1 car with that. So on our fire, you have 29 or so. How many personnel do you got on those 3 between the
3 stations. We have 36
36.
line, and then there's Victor as fire marshal, Dave's the ops chief, myself, district administrator, and then, Nicola, she's the receptionist at the front desk.
Yeah.
You can see when you come in there. And then we have 2 full-time emergency vehicle technicians. So they work on not just our fire trucks and Middleton's fire trucks, they work on Meridian, the list goes on. Basically, most of the departments within Treasure Valley, but except for Nampa and Boise, they have their own city shops. And they go as far as up towards Sun Valley. They take care of McCall, and they have units come in from Baker City, Oregon. So they're busy all the time. They take care of all the BLM.
BLM vehicles, you see those out there quite often. Yeah, it's a pretty cool setup, man. If you went out there and took a tour and saw that, that was well done. So Chief is very frugal. So let's just talk about the ladder truck. We got that for 900,000, right? Yeah, and it's like a $1.6 million vehicle. I had like 5,000 miles on it or something.
6,000.
6,000. Well, by the time we drove it across country. Yeah.
2,600 more.
So the poor, the poor firefighters that had to drive that ladder truck all the way across country. But, we saved $700,000 on a vehicle, right? That serves our needs and is basically brand new, on that, which is awesome.
The other thing I'll add to that is that currently today, if we were to order that ladder truck or an engine, as far as that goes, they are 38 to 42 months out.
Mhm.
And so
Times are gone.
even if we did have the $1.6 million to buy that ladder truck and we ordered it today, we wouldn't make it to the next ISO rating. We wouldn't have it. And they don't count it unless it's here. They're not going to say, oh, you got one coming, we'll give you a break.
Right.
So it was a big deal to get that.
Yeah.
That's the challenges that we have right now. Is what are we going to do in the future? We're running the wheels off these fire trucks. And basically, when we bought the 2, the one in Middleton and the one in Star that we've had for going on 2 years now, they were 600,000. To take those same plans and order those trucks today, they're 860,000. So that's just for a fire truck. And there's another $125,000 worth of equipment.
Pretty incredible amount, right? The one nice thing is we have not park impact fees. We have fire impact fees that we do charge every new house is built. It's about $809 a new house. And then you have the commercial pays 38 cents a foot or something like that on their impact fees. And those impact fees could go help with some of this equipment that we get with the fire. And so I think you're going to go through a review on that.
We just started, yes.
You just started it to up those impact fees for that. And so those impact fees are going to help fund the new fire stations that we have and the equipment. They just can't go to personnel. And that's why we had to come up with the funding mechanism for personnel to help with that while we're only allowed on property taxes to increase our property taxes by 8% if you have that kind of growth. It caps you. So on 1.7 million for the city of Star, we're only increasing by about 150,000 a year. That's one officer. When we're growing every 370 houses that we build, we need another officer basically in our city, right? And so we're playing catch up and we're doing a good job and we're trying to do grants and stuff like that to get that funding and put these other mitigation fees in place. Okay, cool. Any questions of the fire guys and police guys right now? Okay, Victor's gonna break. We got people online, I think, so that way they can hear your question as well. Well, you take the long route. That's a deputy chief for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just quick, do you ever consider having volunteer fire department to supplement the main fire department?
So we do not have volunteers, but we do have part-time firefighters. So we just went through the recruitment process and they're going to start their academy next month, which is just a quick academy. Most of the people that we have got into that program have came through the CWI college program. And they end up coming out of there with a firefighter 1. To apply for the CWI program, it's you have to have an EMT and be a high school graduate, and then you apply. They go through a whole process, and they put about 18 in each class that they do. And so we think it's great. Our staff thinks it's great. Firefighters love having the extra person on the engine. And these guys get to continue their skills. So at the CWI program, they go through an academy. But then after they get out of an academy and they're trying to get a job, they lose what they learned in the academy. So they come to us, they have to work a minimum of 2 24-hour shifts in a month to stay active on our roster. And we only have 6 because we try to keep our staffing in downtown Star and downtown Middleton at 4-person every day. And then our Kingsbury station is staffed with 3. So we have an extra seat there. And then they can fill the Middleton and the Star seats when we have a vacancy from injury or a vacation or whatever. But we were going to go up to 10 or 12, but then they would be competing for the seat and then they wouldn't get the skills that they need. So it's a part-time program. We're the only department in Treasure Valley that does a part-time program. And I think it's very successful.
We used to be a volunteer fire department years ago, right? And that got, obviously, as we grew, we had to change that out. So, yeah, cool. Any other questions here of the chiefs before I move on? None? I'm looking at you. Nothing? All right. Yeah. Oh, hang on. We'll get your microphone.
In the past, we've mentioned after-school programs for the youth once the fire and police were combined. Is there any more movement on that?
Yeah, so that's what you're talking after school with the city or with you guys?
With the city at the.
Yes.
public safety.
Can we talk about that or do you want to talk about it? All right. So yes. So we are actually same thing, utilizing these ARPA funds to that middle 3,500 square feet that's between the fire and the police and creating a little community activity center right there, right now. And so that is slated to be done in May, I hope. We're crossing our fingers. It's almost done, but some of the supply stuff is a challenge. Once that's done, we're going to have some more of the after school programming stuff happening over in that area. Yeah. Thankful to, so Mr. Chief right there is really kind of a brainchild on getting us into those 2 locations over there, which is kind of cool, right? And what's even better is these kids are going to be surrounded by firefighters and policemen, right? So that's cool. So, yeah. Any other questions with them? Or move on? Okay, I'm going to move on. You guys can answer on some of that too. I'm going to go back to the roads thing a little bit. So we deal with all of our roads in the city of Star. And for those of you that are new to the area, the city doesn't have its own road department in Ada County. It's all done by one agency, which is the Ada County Highway District for every city in Ada County. So Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Star, Cuna, and Garden City, I think, are the 6 cities in all the county. They deal with all the roads. And so we have to work with them on trying to get our roads expanded, widened, intersections done and whatnot. On the Canyon County side, because we're a unique city being a dual county city, since we don't have a road department, we utilize Canyon Highway District 4 over there. It takes all of the responsibility for all of our roads within the city. We have an agreement with them to do that. So similar to what ACHD does. So that kind of helps us on both sides. Some of the challenges we have is being a countywide road department. All the funds that get collected don't necessarily get spent in Star. And that's a challenge. They could be spent somewhere else wherever the plan's at. So Canyon, our ACHD has an integrated 5-year work plan, and we've been working really hard to get Star Road widened. That's our only north-south section road here in the city, right? Between the 2 parts of our city, across the river and back. We're trying to get that done to 5 lanes because it needs to be done to 5 lanes to handle that traffic that's in there. And so we've been working with ACHD to get this moved up on their planning. They originally had a plan for 2035. Can't handle 12 more years or 13 more years of all that traffic that comes through. And so if they can get this shovel ready, like get us some plans put in place with all the money that the feds and the state's been throwing out at some of these transportation projects, we're hoping that we can get that funded that way. Because that bridge is going to be, it's probably going to be a $30 million bridge by the time it's all said and done. Just because of the span it has to go and the widening on it. But with that widening, we would have pedestrian crossings, bridges and stuff attached to that to get us back and forth on there as well. And it's a nightmare. I mean, just imagine if we had an accident right on the bridge, but then the fire department needs to respond to a fire up by Jerry's place. Where in the world, how are they going to get there? There's no other bridge except for Highway 16 between us and Middleton, right? So with that, we've asked Canyon Highway District 4 to put on their plan a bridge crossing at Kingsbury. So going down Kingsbury, going south, going over the river and then up to Chinden that way. So we can have a segment in between Middleton and Star. That's a 6 to 7 mile stretch between the two bridges. So that will also help alleviate traffic in Star if people can funnel up this way and get on Highway 2026 that's getting widened as well. And so Canyon Highway District 4 has put it in their master plan. And right over here by Dana's, we have a map up there. It's called our ECAMP map. We call that an Economic Corridor Access Management Plan. And that has all of our road stuff that we're trying to do as a city through these agencies to improve our mobility around our community. But you can go look at this integrated 5-year work plan on ACHD's website. It shows every city's plans, right? What's going on with each city on there. So, and it is a concern. I mean, I will tell you guys, so ITD is working, obviously you see they're working all over the place, right? They got 2026 going on up here between the Phyllis Canal and Highway 16. They got the Highway 16 expansion going to the freeway at the same time. Here in June, the 1st of June, the intersection of Star Road and Chinden is going to be completely shut down for 2 weeks because they have to elevate that for that widening project they're doing. So we're not going to have a connection right here. We're going to have to go this direction. They originally were going to do this in April, but we asked them to delay that because of there's about 500 to 600 students here that go to Waihe High School. That would have been a nightmare trying to get those kids to school on there. And it concerned me if they try to take a side, if they got out Joplin, right, and try to shoot across Canyon Road, that scares the death out of me with the accidents that we see up there. Yeah. And so they agreed to delay that section until June, until school is out, but it is coming to where it's going to be shut down. Huh? 2 weeks, yeah, for Jerry, 2 weeks, no traffic, except it's going to shoot people down Joplin that want to take that route. But yeah, so just so you guys are aware, that's what's going to happen up there. Okay. Yeah, Star Road and Chinden. Yep. But here in a year, that's going to be all widened from the Phyllis Canal where you see that they built that bridge all the way down the Highway 16. And, you know, they're already doing the concrete work along 2026 up there where Highway 16 is. So it won't be long before we get some of that opened up for us up there. So any questions on that, on the roads? Nothing? Okay. Schools. We do have some school challenges in both Middleton side. So we have two different school districts here. We have the West Ada School District for us on the Ada County side, and we have the Middleton School District on the Canyon County side. Middleton doesn't pass bonds. They're limited. They got 3 schools, 3 elementary schools or 4? 3 elementary schools, a middle school and a high school. Those elementary schools are about 140% of capacity right now. They've tried to pass bonds to build new schools. They're limited on their resources on being able to get that done. So they have a challenge. West Ada School District is large. It's the largest school district in the state. So Star Elementary and Star Middle belong to the West Ada School District. Right now, what's happening is because Star Elementary is overcrowded, our kids are being shipped that are south of Highway 44 and the Eagle to go to school because those schools weren't overcrowded down there. So they're past the West Ada School District is looking at doing a plant facilities levy that's coming out for vote in May. I think the third Tuesday in May, 18 something, whatever that is. The third Tuesday in May is an election for that plant facilities levy. It's what they're doing is they're doing a $50 million levy for 10 years for a total of $500 million. And it's to build a new the first one is supposed to be a new elementary school here in Star over by the middle school, which will bring all those kids back over here, right? And help alleviate they just did this expansion of Star Elementary School a couple of years ago, and they're already putting portables back out there for that. That's how crazy that is, right? But West Ada, the way they're set is they can just shift kids to different schools where Middleton School District doesn't have that option. So there's a challenge on both sides, right? So we've been pushing for the state to try to fund more of the facility side of it from the state level, which they should be doing. But they passed a property tax relief bill this year that's supposed to take $116 million annually and send them to the schools, districts, and that helps pay off levies, bonds, and things like that, right? So you'll see some more information come out about this West Ada one if you're in the Ada County side soon. You'll probably see another one coming out for Middleton. I think Middleton another one just failed in March, I think it was, right? For Middleton. So they may try to ask for another one in May. I don't know, or they may wait till August. I have no idea. They're not asking in May. Okay, good. So they'll probably ask in August is my guess on that. There is a high school slated for out here at that whole campus up there by where the middle school is. The school district has 100 acres up there. And so their master plan has the middle school, an elementary school, a high school, and a technical school to be built up in that area up there. So it's all depends on the bonding, right? So what I've been told, so if they pass this bond here in May, they'll build an elementary school. They'll start it this year, is what I'm told up there, right? They said they have funding in their plan to do the high school in a few years. That's the problem is the schools have gone up in cost, right? I mean, they're talking about $100 million for a high school now. When Middleton High School was built, it was $65 million, right? When the Owyhee High School was built, it was about $66 million. But now in 3 years, we're talking about $100 million cost for that. So that's a lot of money for the school. Some of the challenges I have with that though is I want the state, I would like to see the state put half a billion dollars of the surplus into a fund to allow the school district to come and get funding, but create a base model, right? That doesn't need to look like, I like Owyhee High School, it looks good, but it doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't have to look like a Taj Mahal kind of a thing, but at least get the kids into a school that's educational, right? And then if the patrons want to add to it, then come out for a bond and add to it and make it the way you want it to look, right? I think that's the way that it should happen on there, but it's a challenge trying to get people to change their minds at the Capitol building on some of that. Oh,
I have a question
Sure.
regarding the schooling. Are any impact fees, is there a proposal to use any impact fees for the school in the future?
so right now, the state legislature had like 5 different proposals, and there's right now currently under state code, we cannot do impact fees on schools. Okay. There was like 5 proposals that have been introduced and only 2 of them got printed, but they never really got a hearing for them. So there's really not an appetite right now for that. The problem we have with impact fees is impact fees for schools is almost unrealistic. It's only going to be a supplement to a bond. You're still going to have to bond because if you put an impact fee on a school, it's been with the study they did, it's almost $34,000 per house that's added to the cost of the house for an impact fee just for a school. $34,000 because of the cost of the school. Yeah. And so you couldn't do that much. Otherwise, we talk about affordability of houses. My God, can you imagine adding another $34,000 just like that to a house that's already unaffordable here? But if you were to drop that down, let's say $10,000 a house, well, can you do that? Maybe, right? And then supplement it with maybe the bonds and maybe supplement that with some of the state copper money if you have excess funds and put it in an account like that, right? I mean, there's ways I think you could make that work, but just going strict bond or impact fees, it wouldn't help. And the other thing is when you do impact fees, you don't get that up front. You got to collect that for a period of years before you can even build a school, unless you can find some creative financing that allows you to pay that back as you collect those impact fees, right? So yeah, I've been pushing for that. I'm an impact fee guy. I'm glad we'll just talk about that a little bit here. What we do here in the city of Star for impact fees. So right now, every single house that's built in Star or residential unit, including apartments. So on apartments, it's by door, right? So we get $2,050 for a park impact. So you see all the work we're doing on all the parks around here. That's as a result of collecting these impact fees over the years. Okay. Star Fire Department has an impact fee of $809. Then we have the ACHD impact fee. So ACHD collects an impact fee in Ada County on about $3,493 on every house. that goes. I want that money to stay in Star, but it doesn't. It goes anywhere in Ada County, right, for projects. Canyon Highway District 4 just put together an impact fee, and we helped them with that process. That's $5,050 for every house that's built in Canyon County. And Star goes to an impact fee for roads. Then we have that ITD proportionate share, which is $1,000 a house or a unit, right? That goes to this proportionate share fund to help us with the state highways improvements. We have the 3 that come through Star, with Highway 16, Highway 44, Highway 2026, and anything that's not funded through the state on that, we can utilize that for. So in reality, since the state is all of a sudden throw all sorts of money out there, the only section that's really unfunded is from Star Road all the way towards Middleton on Highway 44. So we use that first segment there. We go to Kingsbury as a city, so we're going to use the next segment. We'll go to Blessinger to widen that, and then probably from Blessinger to Kingsbury to widen that to 5 lanes. Okay. Then we have the police mitigation fee of $1,120 per house, and then the fire mitigation fee of $1,200 per house. So that kind of shows you what kind of costs are already added onto these homes here in Star. And we're looking at a possible police impact fee where we can utilize that on vehicles. But the challenge we have with that is a police car only lasts 5 years, if we're lucky. But the state code says that equipment has to be 8 years. So we got to get the code changed in order to use impact fees on police vehicles on there. Okay. Just so you guys are aware. So that's kind of what we do here in Star for growth. This ITD proportionate share, we've had a lot of interest from other areas of the state on how in the world are you doing that? Well, we found a way to do that. We put it into place. We're the first ones to put it in place. Here in Idaho, I got Canyon County is very excited. They want to talk to about it because now that we have an actual project within 3 years, I guess, we have an actual project going after collecting these fees on there. So everybody's kind of interested and excited about it. So, yes.
Ryan Field is joining us. Do you want to introduce him? And he has an update on the after school programs that he'd like to talk.
Oh, good. So Ryan is, so we got a very small staff in the city. I think I have 20 staff members total in the city. And so I keep throwing things on Ryan's plate. He's my assistant planner, my code enforcement guy when he gets a chance. So I threw the Parks and Rec on him too. And so he's online and he can talk to us about the after school program that you were asking about. Are you there, Ryan? He says he's there.
I am there. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay. Verizon commercial. So, hey, appreciate the opportunity, and I really appreciate the question about the after program. Those you may or may not know, we started a program this year at the elementary school. Annie Pugh, who is part of our sports and rec team, she is a kindergarten teacher at heart. And we were lucky enough to swoop her up. And so she has created a program that is extremely popular at the elementary school right now. Kids there as early as 7 a.m. until school starts. And then they after school until 6 p.m. when parents pick them up. And we do activities with them. We get some help with homework. They have a chance where they can come and socialize. Today, we had a meeting with Principal Pence up at the middle school and had a great meeting with him and his team. And we plan to initiate this program at the middle school in the fall. And while there's not a lot of probably need before school and talking to them, there certainly is after school. And the mayor is really passionate about the youth. And so we have really been tasked with to engage those preteens and so that we can help them. And so we had a great meeting today. We are setting up a meeting with Chief Hessing and some of his staff because they've got some great ideas about mentorship and some different things that we can do with this group of kids. And so we are looking forward to expanding that after school program at the middle school. And we do plan to have some activity at the middle school for those kids. And so we are open to questions if you've got some suggestions or thoughts. But this is really Annie's passion. And so we're just turning her loose. No idea is out of bounds this time. And we're just looking forward to duplicating the success that we've had at the elementary school at the middle school.
That kind of answer your question? Okay. Thanks, Ryan. He lives in Cuna, so their internet sucks just as bad as ours because you kept
Oh,
breaking out
was it
there.
cutting out? I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. We understand. It's Cuna.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. So the one thing with our youth, when he's talking about I'm passionate with our youth, I am big on trying to keep these kids active and doing stuff because we've seen some of the graffiti that's happened. We have issues with some of our kids going to some of our restrooms and just trying to destroy them. And so the beauty is our deputies have created such a cool relationship with the kids at the schools because they go through the schools, they talk to them. You know, we do this great big fishing rodeo with the police in May out here, that there's that trust with them. And so when we have a kid that is trying to be a little criminal, I guess, I don't know how you would say that, but he's trying to, is that right? Is that the right term? Sure. Okay. A little criminal. You got other kids that are willing to say, hey, I heard that this kid said he did this. And then it helps us find some of these guys. And I, instead of putting these guys through the ringer through the court system, I'm a guy that, you know what, you're gonna come and work for us. We're gonna put your butt to work out here in the city of Star. Yeah, we've done bathroom cleanings, we've done weeding, we've done moving rocks, we've done stuff like that. And I think that's important, right? Put these kids, and the cool thing is we had one kid that actually, when we poured some concrete, he took his scooter or something right through the concrete. We put him through this work this way. He ended up coming working for us for a summer because he enjoyed the work. So it's just like you get these kids out of that environment and get them out here to work, and then they turn around like that, right? A lot of times they're apologetic. They just kind of get hung up with the crowd, right? And do stupid thing. I did a lot of that when I was a youth, right? So it's kind of nice when these kids have that relationship. I mean, we did who did the PowerPoint presentation last year? Steele. Oh, Sergeant Steele. Yeah, I did a presentation at Star Middle School about what's a crime and what can happen to you and all this stuff. And then one of the kids that actually got in trouble last year for doing some stuff panicked because that's all he remembered was what Sergeant Steele said, thinking he was going to go to jail for this stuff. So that's good. That means we're getting to them, right? We're getting into their minds and stuff on that a little bit. So that's a good thing. You want to talk about any of that or?
No, one of the things that the mayor already talked about is proactive policing. And one of the things that I have always been big on is community policing. And that means a variety of things to different agencies. But to me, that's getting at it. He talked about the trust that the juveniles in this area and the kids in this area have with law enforcement. And part of that is because we're busy, but we're not a busy agency that's going call to call to call. So I encourage our guys to get out, and if there's kids playing basketball, get out and play basketball with them. If they're at the skate park, riding their skateboards, whatever it might be, to get out and talk to them, get to know them. They get to know us, that we're not a scary person. Now we can be a best friend or your worst enemy, depending on what you're doing. But that's one of the things that we're really big on. And I know the mayor talked about trying to get to that 1 to 1,000, and we're trying to get there, and we're seeing it throughout the whole county. So I know we talked a little about Star Police Department, and we're a contract city. So City of Star contracts with the Ada County Sheriff's Office for their police department. So I'm a chief of police for Star Police Department, but I'm a lieutenant for the Ada County Sheriff's Office. What that allows me to do is pull a lot of resources from Ada County when we have issues out here, but also it allows me to go and have meetings once a week with all the chiefs in the area and with the sheriff and figuring it out. And I'm so grateful that Star, because we're growing so fast, our population is going up quite a bit, that we already went through the budget that we can't always add more and more deputies. But we're looking out for those mitigation fees. City of Star is the first city to do that. And it allows us for an extra revenue to get more officers so we can make sure that we're not an agency that goes into that call to call and we're not allowed to get out and visit with the public and see the juveniles and then do those things. So again, I truly appreciate what the City of Star is doing, and they're absolutely heading in the right direction with it. And Something I just want to point out that absolutely we do have a good trust. We love doing like the extravaganza we just did last weekend. Love getting out, talking to the public. And, you know, the other cities said, man, well, you guys have a lot of community events you go to, and we love it. We're doing this Star Fishing Rodeo. And again, we get out, get to talk to the public. The public gets to know who we are. I think that's one of the most important things that we can do as law enforcement is build those relationships.
Any questions on any of that? Is that still going through? Okay, all right. No? Welcome. Don't tell me it was traffic. We don't have any of that in Star. So you know, some of the stuff, so I will tell you that I've been in Star for a lot since '93, right? Before it was a city. You guys know when Star became a city? All of our new folks? 1997. So we've only been a city for 25 years for the second time. We were a city in the early 1900s for 25 years, from 1904 to 1929. And then from that time frame to 97 was not a city. It was just a unincorporated part of the county. So for 25 years, you know, we've been growing. I mean, we went from 1,000 and 2,000 to 17,000 we're talking today. We do have, just give you some history on building permits. We used to average about 300 housing permits per month since if you look at everything since we became a city. During the COVID timeframe, except for the few years that was really the recession time where it really dropped down. Right?
Mayor, did you mean 300 per year?
What did I say?
You said 300 per month.
Oh yes, 300 per year. 300 per month, we'd be LA, and I don't want to be that. Right? Sorry, 300 per year. Yeah, he looked at me like, what in the world? I'm moving. During the COVID timeframe in 2020, we shot up to 800. I mean, it went that fast, right? People wanted to come be part of something that is not like where they were from. I don't know if all you, I know he's not. He's been here for forever. He's a homesteader out there. But I'm sure you guys probably investigated areas you want to be part of and stuff. And Stars are unique. I think Stars unique compared to other communities, right? And what we do here. So people want to be part of that. So this last year, with interest rates went up, you know, inflation went up quite a bit. So our fiscal year starts October 1 and ends September 30th. So that's how we do our count. So on October 1, in October of this last year, we only had 15 building permits, which was like, whoa. It dropped that fast, right, for us. However, it's changed. We're back up to 50 for a month, which is incredible because I think people are they're finally figuring out how to work with the new interest rates that we have, right? How to work with, we're not seeing as many of the larger homes being built, but more of a smaller home, right? Trying to make it fit their budget on things on there. So we're still seeing the growth that we have in our, that we've seen back in the 2020 timeframe. So we're on track I guess what I'm saying is we're on track to hit 416 permits, building housing permits this month or this year, not this month, but this year. Okay. Which ends September 9th or September 30th. Okay. Compass determines our population by, they use the census data from 2020, then they add in the housing units that come on place, and they utilize a occupancy with Idaho Power on hookups and stuff like that. And it's come out to, I said 2.7 last week, it's changed to 2.94. I just had a meeting yesterday. So they use 2.94 now as a factor for every new house that's built. It's about 2.94 folks now in the city of Star. So just so you're aware of that. We do have a large number of commercial. You can see that going on like crazy here. That's been a big thing of mine. I've been wanting to get commercial here in Star because we have a property tax issue with the burdens on the residential, like 93% residential versus 7% commercial paying for the property taxes. In Star, we used to have the lowest value properties in Ada County, right? Just in like 2019, 2018 timeframe. Right now, we're second highest behind Eagle. So we've seen some incredible growth in our property values in the city of Star, which causes a problem on property taxes. When you guys look at your property tax bills, there's 12 different taxing districts, and the city of Star is just one of them, right? And we're right down in the middle. You have 8 countywide property tax districts, or half the countywide property tax districts. So when the values in Star are going up 50% and the values in another part of the county are going up 25%, you're going to see a shift of property taxes onto us without getting any more services on there. And that's our challenge when you see your property tax. If you're to look at the taxes for the fire district, sewer and water, city of Star, Star Cemetery, before that, you can almost compare apples to apples to in our area here. They pretty much remain flat or go down because our values are going up, our budgets aren't going up nearly as high, just so you guys are aware of that, okay? Yeah, we're bringing corporations. We got, so you guys see Greylock. People ask what happened to their sign. Well, their sign was not, it wasn't made right. And so they had to take it down and take it back to the factory because everybody's making up stories online. We don't ever do that here, right? Made up stories about what was going on with Greylock, and they're still there. They got one more container of equipment coming in from Germany that they still got to install in there before they can go live in that facility. But they'll get their Greylock sign back here pretty soon. You know, we do have the greatest debate I've ever seen is pizza in this town. That's the craziest thing in the world to me. I just want to give you guys some info on pizza. Huh? No, we don't have Chicago pizza. Don't, you'll give it just a little bit of time. The great debate is what I call it. The great Star debate is pizza, right? Blows me away. If people want to understand, the state of Idaho is one of the highest on pizza per 100,000. We like our pizza in Idaho. 23.4 pizza places per 100,000 in population. Okay, if you came from California, it's only 18.5. So of course you're going to see more pizza here, right? City of Star, we're right around 22 right now with the ones that have said they're coming. They haven't started building yet, and the ones that we have. But 22, no, 22.1 was what that number would be per 100,000 if you take that 17,000 into that. No, we don't have 22.1 for 17,000. That would put us at like 90 per 100,000, right? So let's talk about, no, and that's another one. So actually the American Dental Association says they need one dentist for every 3,000 in population. We got that. But your teeth are beautiful. Good dentist, right? So, but you see like right here, Dr. Dial, Star Dental has been over here forever, right? They're just moving across the street, building a new building here instead of renting over there. So that's not a new dentist. That's just a replacement right there. Sure. It's a focus of a little bit of all of it. So down going towards Canyon County side, down Highway 44, we do have some opportunities down there to put some more of that kind of manufacturer in there. Along Highway 2026 also, we have that opportunity to do a little bit of that there. I would like to see us have a mix. I mean, you want service and good jobs and office. I mean, you want a little bit of everything to be sustainable, right, as a city. We do have about 27 commercial facilities yet to be built in Star. They just are waiting for some access permits and stuff like that from ITD, which is good. That'll help us with our taxes. That'll help us flip our tax burden, our tax issues that we have here. Plus, you know, back in the day, we went 7 miles in any direction to get to anything, right? You know, and so having some of that stuff here is nice. You don't have to go very far. If we could redistribute traffic to stay in Star, then we're not going out creating more traffic on some of the network that we have out here that can't handle it, right? Yeah, absolutely. Well, and giving our kids and stuff jobs. I mean, who knew that you could work at McDonald's for $16 an hour? Right, blew me away. My Big Macs cost more.
All right, it's a question, but it's actually a concern. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yep.
About neighborhood meetings.
Okay.
There was a time I didn't want to know anything about neighborhood meetings with all this growth. I'm learning a lot about them.
Okay.
I know they're required.
Mhm.
They come before the council meeting. They said, we've had our neighborhood meeting on this date, blah, blah, blah. And if they went up there and said, no, we just didn't have a neighborhood meeting, you'd say, See you in 6 months.
Mhm.
I think you believe that they're doing what they should be, but they're not. I think they're really lax on their neighborhood meetings. That's what I'm finding. You'll have the meeting, I like it 2 years ago, whatever. You get the little thing in the mail, you got a little bit of time to think about it. What am I going to do? I'm worried about this or that or the other thing. You meet with them. And what you have is a developer. They'll hand you a plat, whatever's going in.
Mhm.
And it's nice because you want to know, okay, what's going in. And the meeting lasts hour and a half. I think they have to last a certain time. You ask the questions and get back with you. Oh, I'm not sure. What about the water? Oh, I'm not sure about that. We'll get back with you. What about this? What about the roads? We'll get back with you. Crickets. They won't get back with you. You can call whoever. They'll never
Sure.
get back with you. That's a problem. And then when they do have the meeting and they come up here before the council and they say, they want to get permitted. You have 2 weeks before that meeting, maybe 14 days. And you find out what's on the plat is totally different
Mhm.
than what they were selling you, totally different product. You're going, So what do you do as a homeowner or whatever landowner? You can't come and talk to you. At that time, I can't talk to the council people because ex parte.
Right.
So the only thing I've got now is a 3-minute spiel and hope that you'll listen to me. Wait.
Well, you could talk to the staff too, though.
I could.
Yeah, right.
I could. And I think the problem is not just for the homeowners, it's just for you too. What is happening, I've seen it in a lot of meetings. I watch them online. Whatever. If someone feels like they're not being heard, they get frustrated and they'll go to social media. And they'll get some help. They'll get the neighbors get upset. Everybody gets upset. They come to these meetings. And it's crazy. It didn't have to be. You're the ones then have to sit down there and say, okay, let's work. How about this, that? Oh, all kinds of things that you can work out. Those could have been done a year ago.
Mhm.
If these people would have spent the time with the neighbors, talk to them, listen to them, return their calls. So I don't know what I'm asking is maybe watch that a little bit. When they come before the city council and they say, I had that meeting on such and such a date, check that box is done. How about if I had that meeting on such and such a date and we had some changes from then to there? Here's how we communicated that to the people. Here's who we talked to the people. Here's the people we got the opportunity for them to speak with. You know what I'm saying? Right now, the neighborhood meeting is just freaking worthless.
Well, and unfortunately, it's the Land Use Planning Act that dictates what they're required to do, and we can't
Right.
force them to do more.
Right,
And the Land Use Planning Act only requires them to do that neighborhood meeting
right.
before they submit their application. That's it.
That's it.
That's all. And so, but if you notice on these meetings, even when the community comes up and talks about some of this stuff, we almost on every project. I've told every developer, this is your first shot at the city. You don't go through a planning and zoning commission and STAR,
Right.
right? This is your first shot at the city. You should never expect to get approved on the first night, right? So we're going to
True.
make some changes on that. And we've done that on a lot of almost all the projects that I've been involved with on there, one way or the other, right? But we also got to remember, we have a comprehensive plan too. That
Absolutely. I love that. It's
yeah,
great.
that plan, I don't know, I got a copy of this if you guys want a copy of it up here. But that plan that shows you how the city's going to grow and the densities that are allowed in that area as we grow. There are concerns, like you had a lot of concerns with a specific development up there that caused all sorts of issues, right?
Right.
For you, and we get that, and that's, and some of it is, it's a learning curve for us too, right? So we see some of this stuff.
And for them too. I think it's their first time building there. I'm not
Right.
sure.
And we go into our code and we strengthen our code because we don't know what we don't know unless it
Right.
comes up, which is unfortunate. And we've done 3 code adjustments in 3 years, strengthen our code based off of some of those issues that have come up, right? That we've seen on there. But I completely agree. I'm going to tell you, I think the neighborhood meeting is a worthless product of the development process. It doesn't, I've been to several myself here, right? But there's no requirement of them to follow exactly what this is their idea, right? Right here. They do the neighborhood meeting, they submit the application to the city, and if it follows the city code and the city comp plan, then we submit them to the agencies for their review. And oftentimes you'll see the agencies make comments that cause them to make a change on their plan, right? On there. And then when it comes to city council meeting, sometimes they'll even revise it from what they submitted to the city because of these agency comments. And then they have to submit it or revise it again because I'm very vocal about some of the stuff on there, and I get them to make some changes on there if we can. I know it's not the best system right now, and I completely understand what you're saying.
Another question I had, if I can bring it up now.
Yeah.
Is the city actively looking for property to purchase for parks? To me, it's really important, especially south of town here. I think you're going to pick up a park and leave it kind of natural, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
This is next to my property. I'd like to see that a lot of that property out there stay natural for the birds, habitat,
Sure.
whatever. Put trails along. I mean, we can make parks all over the place. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
But they're just the same cookie cutter park that everybody else has. We have an opportunity to, like a lot of folks want to leave the
Right.
city the way it is. We have that opportunity to do that. We need to do that in advance. Maybe buy some property if you're looking at it.
So we're not, if the opportunity allows, we can buy some property. We just found we got some property that went for sale that we made an offer on. The council made approval, made an offer on. You know, it's only a small piece, it's 1 acre, but we're trying to get some of these little pieces that connect, right? So like up in your area with our South of River plan, we're trying to, we're going to try to group some of those developments that are happening up there to create a more centralized, larger park, right? But also that native area that's going to stay open down by you, I think is, like you said, it's great, right? But when we get south of the river, we do have a big segment of that that's going to stay open and natural all the way along that river when that eventually gets developed. So you'll have a ton of open space down there that is natural, right?
People in the future, I'm going to still enjoy it.
Yeah, enjoy it. Absolutely. And that's part of so with the Freedom Park over here, we're leaving a lot of that natural over there. We're not going to take out the old snags or any of that stuff because those snags are important for the birds of prey and even for the quail, for the turkeys that we see running around there and all that. We want to keep that environment out there and try to preserve that. You know, and I'm glad you brought this up too, because as a city, we've actually gone out for grants. On the south side of the Boise River, there's actually BLM land, about 30 acres that's out there. And there's also about 32 acres of Idaho State Department of lands. And so we got a grant to put a plan in place for us to go get another grant to get a bridge across the Boise River, a footbridge, to get us to those lands so it's open and accessible to everybody. So our hope is with the Freedom Park, with the River Walk, with the River House area, we have about 80 acres right there. Our hope is that we're going to have connection and have about 170 acres total when it's all said and done along along the south side, right? So, and then we'll keep it open like that. And my thing is, you know, we've had folks ask us to pave the river walk. I don't want to pave the river walk. You want to leave it natural as much as you can, but we can put the concrete more north to still get people the accessibility back into some of those areas, right? So I think that's important to keep some of that open on there. Oh, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Right. Hey, hang on one second. We'll get the microphone to you real quick.
They couldn't- I have a question, and I don't know if it's for Chief Hessing or for you, Mayor
Okay.
Chadwick. And it's regarding your SRO officers. You indicated, unless I didn't hear correctly, that there's a part-time SRO at Star Elementary. And I guess I want to know, what are the plans for the future? Is the SRO funded partially by West Ada and the police department? And so where are we going with that? Are we intending to put in a full SRO officer?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you answer that first, and then I'll answer.
So we only have one SRO officer out here in Star, and he's assigned to Star Middle School. So we don't have a part-time for Star Elementary at all.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we have one school resource officer for Star Middle. He's assigned to Star Middle. That's paid 70% by Ada County Sheriff's Office and 30% West Ada School District. Star Elementary, he does come over. His name's Rob Fowler, fantastic detective, been in law enforcement for several years. Matter of fact, he's retiring coming this summer, and we're going to replace him with another great deputy that will be out here. But we don't have a part-time for Star Elementary at all. Rob Fowler does come over and help with Star Elementary at times when they need it. The only I guess, security that there for Star Elementary is Star Police Department coming through. Now, if you look at the numbers, the amount of time school security checks, for instance, I got just to share it real quick. So the school security checks we did just for the month of February was 53 security checks. And that's Star deputies, so patrol deputies that are walking through there 53 times through that month. And sometimes they don't check out. For instance, I worked out of there Tuesday morning writing reports out of Star Elementary, and I'm not checked out there. I'm writing reports and doing emails at a desk there. So we're hoping to, we've always, so right now, talking with Sergeant Durrell, who works at the Ada County Sheriff's Office, who is the liaison for West Ada School District and Ada County Sheriff's Office to figure out school resource officers. So far, this next budget year, because they're under budget restraints too with West Ada, is looking at half a SRO for elementary schools, for 5 elementary schools throughout the north side of the freeway in unincorporated Ada County. When I say, well, let me bring that back, not unincorporated, but the 5 elementary schools north of the freeway that half school resource officer would go and help with calls there. Obviously, that's not near enough, and that's why we're trying to figure out, and I've talked to the mayor several times, trying to figure out what we can do more for Star Police Department to go over there and make sure that we have an armed officer there at that school more often. Now, those guys, the one thing I want to make sure, and when I talk to Principal Adams over at Star Elementary School, that's not a school resource officer. So when Star deputies go there, they can't take on the behavioral issues of kids or different things that some school resource officers would do, because they've already got a full plate of writing reports and doing those things. But the whole purpose of them being there is if any type of emergency shows up, they're on scene already. They can handle that emergency. So right now, that's kind of what we're looking at. I know it's not near enough, and we're looking at different ways to try to provide that security and get Star Elementary taken care of. But right now, we're
Did the grant monies go away for the SRO officers?
I'm not aware of a grant money for this local area.
Okay, so then you indicated that West Ada is paying what percent?
30%.
30%, you're paying 70?
Correct.
But do we have an SRO officer? We do at the elementary or at the junior high,
Yes.
middle school.
Yep.
And we have a shared one for elementary.
Well, not yet. They're hoping for that in the next budget year.
So what we're-
half.
Am I there? Am I talking? So what we're doing though, to supplement that is that's why we're putting our police there to be on site, to write reports, to do stuff like that, to show that presence. That's why the police are there. And quite honestly, I sent a note to Dr. Bub this morning saying you need to, it's similar to what the fire department's doing now, right? Fire department has put report writing rooms in their new stations so the officers can just go there. I think we need to start doing that just in general at the front door of every elementary school, put an office there that the police can just stop by, do the reports everywhere here in the valley, and just create that presence, because officers are always writing reports. So they can always be rotating out, walking around the school, doing all that stuff and making sure that they stay safe. Right. I mean, that's what we're working on, is trying to figure out that dynamic, that visual presence. That visual presence is oftentimes enough of a deterrent. Now, with the mental health issues we have, it may never be a deterrent, right? But at least we have somebody there that's trained that can take care of that situation before it happens. Proactive policing. Yeah, correct. Yep. Okay, more questions? You want me to answer these ones? Huh? Yeah, okay. So we had, was it Miss Katie? Is it Sipe, I think, out of Saddlebrook, sent some questions in for us. So the first one's probably going to be for you. So it says, I remember at the last town hall meeting, there were discussions regarding the golf carts driving around town and through our subdivision. My question is, do the drivers of these golf carts have to hold a driver's license?
So from the last one, I did some study on this. So there's a difference between a low speed vehicle and a golf cart. What I learned is anything that's under 20 miles an hour is considered, that can only go up to 20 miles an hour. It's considered a golf cart. A low speed vehicle is anything that goes up from 20 to 35. In order to drive these on the road, they have to have all the same safety equipment that your vehicle has. What I mean by that is they have to have turn signals, they have to have tail lights. They have to have those things. If they are on the road, they do have to be insured and they have to have a driver's license.
Okay, answers that question. Yeah, that was a stumper on the last one for us, especially since we have all the nice golf course that we have down here, down the street now, right? And we see people driving. The next question is, are there any plans for our Star Outreach Food Bank to have a larger building built or move to a bigger space? There are some very hard workers. Yes, there is plans. I think they have their own set of plans. Now, Star Outreach is a separate entity. It's not a City of Star entity. That green building right there is our old city hall right there. And they're utilize that facility. They funnel about 18,000 meals, 20,000 meals out of that place a year. That's a lot, right? They service Star, parts of Middleton, parts of Eagle, and they have an office in Emmett, I think, right? That services that as well. They do have plans. They do have a group that's looking for funding and looking for property. Granted, property is expensive in Star. You know, they made an offer on some property that was about half what it was. And of course, no one wants to give up their property for that, right? And so it's a challenge. What I've been doing is I've been talking to developers as they come in and say, listen, you're creating a need. I need you to help try to get us a property. Well, it's worked out on some of the developers. We had one developer give them a donation of $50,000, right? That was fantastic. We out of the blue on that, right? We've had another one give them $10,000. So they're looking at that. Even when some of this commercial stuff comes up, if the opportunity persists, we say, hey, is there a way that you could squeeze out a 3,000 or 4,000 square foot facility in there for these guys to operate out of, right? So we keep asking that question. So I do know they have a pretty hardworking committee trying to get this done in there, and we're trying to help them as much as we can from the city standpoint. Oh, hang on. You got to get the microphone. Got to get the microphone. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Masumi Purdy, and I do volunteer for Star Outreach, and we are actively looking for a space. They do have plans. What I will say is they do want to stay in Star. And then if anybody knows anyone who has property available, like that's willing to deed it or quit claim it or whatever, they would definitely be willing to take a look at it. And I mean, we all have 6 degrees of separation who knows someone, right? So they haven't done like not a social media, but like a press release. And so we're looking at doing that to kind of put it out there and get it. Cause I mean, they really do help over 20,000 families and a year and handing out food. And it's a 900 square foot space. And we're looking at getting a 3,000 square foot space. And they have so many ideas for helping the youth and lunch programs. And I mean, just everything running the gamut with it. So if anybody can help.
And they're 100% volunteer organization. So all the money that's collected goes right back in to feeding families and stuff like that. Right. So that's a good thing. And, you know, we've been asking, you know, we have some different religious organizations that are looking at properties, and we've even been asking them if they can carve out a piece on those properties that they're looking at for that too. So, yes, sir.
I should further elaborate. We can go back to the golf cart question.
Okay.
So my fear is the reason why I bring up the golf cart between the low speed vehicle, or LSV, as they say in the Idaho code, is golf carts are not allowed on the road. If they're a pure golf cart, they are not allowed to go down the road. So low speed vehicle, if they take a golf cart, they can go above 20 miles an hour and put all the safety equipment on it. Then like technically it is allowed on the road, but you got to have the other driver's license and insurance. But if it's a golf cart, it's not allowed on the road.
Well, yeah, they're licensed as long as they're licensed.
UTVs,
Yeah.
UTVs can go on the road, but it's got to be a road that goes under 65, which doesn't matter around here because every road around here.
We have folks that drive from Star to go up in the mountains with those. It's crazy. It's awesome. All right. The last question that she had is, will we be able to have a humane society or some sort of animal rescue shelter? I believe there to be a need for something like this in our community. Both Boise Humane Society and West Valley, which is in Canyon County, are far away. And Star Veterinarian is very small to accommodate an influx of animals. It'd be nice to have a closer, more local place. This is the most challenging part for us right here. So that's a funding mechanism that we don't have to fund that. We pay right now, we pay Star Vet $14,400, I think, a year for them to take our dogs. The police are the ones that will pick up the pups and take them down there. And then they get into our data. This is why it's important to register your dog, license with the city, because they'll get in our database to see who it belongs to. If it doesn't, they can't find a tag or a chip on it, so we get them back to the appropriate folks. We have researched and explored trying to get Humane Society out here. It would cost us upwards of $120,000 a year to have the Humane Society out here, but that doesn't give us 100% full all-day coverage either. That is on a call basis, right? And so now what do? Do I take the $120,000 to take care of dogs, or do I take the $120,000 and apply it to more officers so we can protect our city in that way and utilize this same function? Myself and Mayor Evans out of Garden City actually went to Ada County Commissioner Rod Beck and asked him to look at their animal control contract. Our beef is if we as citizens are paying property taxes to Ada County, and Ada County has a contract for animal control that is only for county residents, then why is our property taxes even higher than that? I mean, we should get a reduction if they're not doing animal control in our areas. So he was like, oh, well, let me take a look at that, because we don't just have a dog problem, we have a cat problem. We have cats all over this valley. We got cat problems, and those of us that are ranching, you don't want to know what we did with cats, right? I'm just gonna be honest with you. But there are organizations that are nonprofit around that actually will pick up the cats, go neuter or spay them, and then take them back, right? And put them back in the places that they were at. It's a challenge. There's no doubt in my mind, this is a challenge. I mean, we even have issues, even just with our dog park, with aggressive dogs. How do we handle an aggressive dog? How do we handle the dogs that escape their houses and come to our dog park because they like to play, right? I mean, we have several of those that it's crazy, right? You get the same dogs that escape their house and they go straight for the dog park. They know where to go. If we can figure out how we can get more funding, some of the challenges, if we can get, the state just a couple of years ago capped our ability to allow growth pay for itself by allowing us only to grow 8%, regardless of how much growth we could have had. They used to allow us to take all of the new construction growth and add that into our property taxes, which doesn't increase your taxes, just brings on the new rolls now, right? Well, they took that away and capped us at 8%. So we're leaving all this money on the table that could help fund these services right now. So we're trying to find ways to work within the new laws that they created to fund and do these services. That's why we have the mitigation fee in place for that. I will promise you, if I try to do a mitigation fee for animal control, the BCA would come after everybody's head on that. They wouldn't allow that to happen because they don't deem that as a necessary service like the police and fire are on there. So it's a great question. It's a hard one for us to battle. I promise you, Chief would love to get rid of the animal control aspect of his job. These deputies would love to get rid of that animal control aspect of their duty, but we just don't have another way of doing that right now in the current environment we're in. So, do you want to answer that too?
We had a dog chew on one of our seatbelts. That's what we'd love to get rid of. That.
Oh, okay. You got a dog chew on a seatbelt. Strap him in. Come on. Is there any other questions online? That's it. Okay. You guys have more questions or anything? Yes, sir. Oh, microphone. Oh.
Say anything? The question.
No, just hang on one sec. Will you hand out those comprehensive plan maps? Because I told him I'd give him one of those. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
So the question I have, you alluded to when I walked in was, don't tell me it's traffic.
Sure.
What I'm seeing is a lot of dangerous situations in the roads. Already the roads are too full.
Mhm.
People aren't paying attention to speed limits. They're unsafe. I happen to be a cyclist, so I'm dealing with that aspect of it. And I'm just curious because a lot of these developments aren't even full yet. There's nobody in these homes. The homes aren't there yet, but they're being built and these roads are already dangerous. I mean, we're seeing, I work in the cycling industry. This area has been a very popular area for group rides and things.
Mhm.
And it's becoming known as a very dangerous area.
Correct.
So I'm just curious, I know there's plans for how many rooftops and road capacity and stuff like that. How does that all fall out? Right now, we're already busier than we can deal with.
Mhm.
And there's nobody in these houses yet. And what happens when they're full? What's the plan of attack?
So right now, for the state highways, they're gonna, in the next 2 years, you'll see all this widened out on the state highways, right? On those local roads like Floating Feather and Beacon Light and New Hope,
Those are the key.
those are in the integrated 5-year work plan with ACHD to widen those out to 3 lanes with bike lanes on them, right? Or detach or attach, however they decide to do that with the right of ways that they have. That is our challenge right now
Who does
with
that? Is that county?
ACHD's county. So
Okay.
there's the road.
Floating Feather and the Beacon Light.
Yeah, all the road networks in Ada County, except for the state highways, are controlled by Ada County Highway District. That's a unique feature. So I think it's the only one in the country that's built like that. We don't, oops, sorry, I forgot about that microphone there. We don't control that aspect of it. Our challenge we have is those, I believe that the development should be widening those roads as they're building instead of paying some of the fees that they're paying. But that's not what's set in place with ACHD on that when they allow that. ACHD allows for a level service of F as being an acceptable level of transportation, which is crazy to me. That's the lowest. Grade F, right? We're trying to see, can we, as a city, do we have a right on these roads to say we want a level of service of D at a minimum, right? We want to get that service up. Can we require that in our code? Meaning ACHD would have to force more projects to be done, or actually say that no, your road, this development was going to create a level service of E or an F, and this unless they're willing to do these improvements, then they can't have this project, right? Right now, it's everything. Everything gets approved by them, and we can't override what they're saying because they're the transportation authority. Even though we can see it every day out here, the challenges that we're having, we just can't override that authority that they have for that. So we keep pushing on this integrated 5-year work plan, trying to get these projects done here in Star. And the first one we're really pushing on Star Road, but we do have these built into the integrated 5-year work plan. We have about 75 miles of gaps in our sidewalks in Star. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but we put a plan together in 2019 with ACHD that identified those. They don't go and just put those sidewalks in because those sidewalks belong to ACHD as well, unless it's private streets or whatnot, right? So we try to get those things done. We're trying to get different grants to try to build out some of those sidewalks. I don't know if that answers your question, but we're trying.
How about speed limits and?
Speed limits are a different, yeah, speed limits are a different animal altogether. On the state highway side, there's speed studies that they have to do before they'll reduce or increase them. On the local roads, I know when we have issues, we actually have meetings with ACHD on a specific segment if it's causing a problem, right? And seeing if we can get them reduced or get some different signage, you know, even the signs that flash, we're trying to get those done on like Floating Feather and Beacon Light that will flash to tell you if you're going over the speed limit. A couple of years ago, we bought a radar trailer that we've been placing in different locations to try to get data, and because it tells us the data of the speeds and stuff. Believe it or not, we had I think it was Plummer, that we had 103 mile an hour speed limit on that. I'm like, are you kidding me? And of course, one of our deputies, man, he was hell bent on trying to find that person. So he set up out there to see if he could find somebody again on that, right? I mean,
So I've seen.
yeah, I live off of Plummer too. Yeah, it's crazy, but we're trying to get these things done and accomplished with the tools that we're given on that.
You know, it's interesting because we do talk about parks and how important they are, and you know, being a cyclist and seeing this area was one of the most popular places when I moved here 18 years ago.
Yeah,
To come out and ride, and that brings revenue and things into the area as well. It was just a nice place to go for a ride. And those shoulders are disappearing, and traffic's coming up, and everything's changing. And
yeah, it's changing big time. But if we can get those, pathways or those the sidewalks. I mean, if you look at the new Floating Feather, you know, going to Highway 16, how they got the 10-foot sidewalk. I think that's what ACHD is going to probably go to on more of these arterials, is using that multi-use pathway as your bicycling route versus on the road. and separate it with a separator to keep them away from the traffic, right? And so we've increased our requirements for sidewalk widths and stuff like that in the city of Star, so we could try to accommodate some of the difference.
When they put in the highways, do they ever put like a breakdown lane, or just, it's not necessarily designated as something other than maybe a breakdown lane, or is it just the road and the shoulder and that's it, and then you have maybe a bike lane?
I think, and I'm trying to remember what they look like, but I think it's the road shoulder with the little borrow pit now on the highways with a separate, either multi-use path or whatnot unattached. Yeah, trying to separate the vehicle and the bicyclist. Now, I will tell you here in a couple of years, we're going to have access from Star Road Bridge over the Boise River all the way to Lucky Peak. You'll have connection all the way along the Greenbelt there. We are, and with that grant that we were working on to get that connection at the same time, development on the west side, I'm sorry, on the east side of Highway 16 is required to connect the path, the trail from the river up to Highway 44. Then ITD is going to connect that from here all the way to Stillwater, where the Dutch Brothers is and Eagle of Highway 44. And we'll have that connectivity if you wanted to ride all the way up to Lucky Peak on there. So
sign us up, Mayor.
for a ride,
Yeah, we're gonna ride our bikes.
I'm going to get
over
an
there.
e-bike. God gave me a vehicle for a reason, man, so I can eat. All right. Any other questions? That's the comprehensive plan that Chief handed out to you guys. That's the same map that's up there. That shows you the plan of the city on where we plan to grow over the years. Now, the last 3 years have been painful. We didn't expect to grow as fast as we did. So we've made adjustments to this comprehensive plan over time. We've actually knocked out about 40% of the available density in that plan in the last 3 years. So if you think about it, with 40% less houses in that entire plan. Because if you were to grow over a period of time slowly, right, more manageable state, we didn't have COVID, we didn't have people mass exiting out of certain areas of the country to come here, you can make that work and you can get these roads and everything done. But when people are coming that fast and we don't have any laws that allows us to put caps on building permits or any of that kind of stuff, it's illegal for us to do that here. And we have to, our only mechanism is to reduce the densities and stuff in these plants like this to show people how we're going to grow as a city. So most of the area, when we say R3, is 3 units to an acre. That doesn't mean a third acre lot. That means that in that acre, they could have 3 housing units. If they want to do 3 10,000 square foot lots, they have to leave the rest of it open right on there, just to kind of give you an idea of what that means on there. Okay. It used to be where most of the city was R5, 5 units to an acre. That's a lot. So we've really reduced that a lot here in our town. Chief Tominski's really getting bored up here. So if you guys got to ask him a question, you got to ask him a question. Somebody. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Victor's ready to do his PT test now that he got up 100 times.
Thank you. Just for both the chiefs, you guys have events and stuff like the fishing or whatever it may be. Do you look for volunteers to help you guys out on those events from the residents?
Fire District does breakfast in Middleton on the 4th of July and then in Star in October. And we always take people that are willing to come and donate their time to help set up, clean up, whatever.
If you guys haven't been to the Pheasant Hunters Breakfast, that's in October. That's usually the opening day of pheasant season, which opens at noon on that day. So they do a breakfast every morning as a fundraiser for them. And it gets lots and lots of people there. It's really cool to go to.
Yes, on our side, we do several events throughout the year, but like the fishing rodeo coming up, I just had somebody earlier ask me, hey, I'd love to get involved in that. And yes, we would take as many volunteers as we can take. A lot of that is teaching these kids how to fish and there's only so many of us that can put a lure on a line they're all around the pond trying to do it. So we'll take as many volunteers as we can get.
Yeah, it's really that fishing rodeo. We are getting what? You? Yeah, go ahead.
We also have a page on our website. It's staridaho.org/fish. And if you're interested in setting up like a little booth and having an activity for a kid, Deputy Henderson, who's really the impetus behind the whole event, is looking for people who want to do something like that as well.
Yeah, really cool. But we're putting in 1,000 18-inch trout in that thing, so these kids can catch them. It's going to be awesome. It's so fun. This last November, there was a kid, I saw a picture on Facebook, caught a big old trout out of there from one of the ones that we put in there, smile ear to ear. I'm like, good heavens, man, look at that. Surprised they didn't pull them in. It was so big. So any other questions of me or the chief or anything online?
Services.
Right. Oh, yes. She heard me last week, or was it this week? Last week. So we are going to start offering passport services here at City Hall, upstairs in the clerk's office. So if you need your passport, need to renew them or whatnot, it'll be a full service one. So you get your picture taken there and all that, do it all in one location. We are working with the sheriff to try to get driver's licenses here in City Hall as well. And he seemed to be open to it. It's just a matter of finding the funding to, because we're going to provide the space for them so we can try to become a full service. You can do everything here. We're also looking at doing the TSA pre-check stuff for those of you that like to fly here as well. So we're here, we got the building, we might as well have the services here so you don't have to go that, well, driver's licenses is probably 14 miles or whatever in any direction on there. Yeah, good question. What else you got on there for me? Yeah.
We did have a question on Instagram asking about the status of the splash pad.
Okay. Oh, yeah. The status of the splash pad. It's that splash pad in our parks. It's going to go in the Pavilion Park. It's about 4,900 square foot splash pad. It's pretty good size. The equipment has all been ordered. It's supposed to show up here in a couple weeks. You should start seeing them fencing that off. And so once the equipment shows up, the contractor will be in there to start running the water lines, the power lines, and framing that out for concrete. It's supposed to open July 4th. We're hoping. We'll cross our fingers for that. We'll have tons of kids in that puppy when that gets done, which is awesome. I might be in there. You might see a whale out of water in there with me and Victor. Any other questions on Instagram or anywhere? No? Well, thank you guys. We do have business cards and stuff up here. If you want to take them and you have any questions, ask us. I'm very accessible and open. You can always talk to me about anything. I've always said this is not my city, this is our city, and we have to follow the laws. And we got to make sure people understand when they move here that the laws of Idaho are much different from the laws for where they came from. And so our planning and stuff is done differently in most cases, right? But we really want to make our community strong and something that people want to be at. If you're doing that, then it makes these guys' jobs easier here in our community and makes all of our lives a lot better. So, all right, you guys have anything? Nothing?
No, I just want to thank everybody for coming, and we're going to continue to do these.
Yep.
Hopefully, tell your neighbors, your friends. We'd like to have a lot of people come and ask us questions. We want to make sure that we're meeting your guys' expectations.
It's important. I like talking to everybody. Right? Cool. Well, thank you all. Have a good night. Unless you have another question or whatnot, I can take my little microphone off. Thank you.